Cheats. Chelsea are cheats. That is the only explanation from how you go from a £90 million loss to making profits of over £120 million when your income as an organization has decreased massively. They are the accusations being thrown around by football fans today after the announcement of major profits by Chelsea Football Club after the selling of assets to Blue Co. We're going to delve into that in more details. Do you really consider this cheating? Is this smart business? Are there sour grapes from rivals? But are Chelsea becoming too reliant on stripping their assets to maintain their status in the game? We're going to delve into all of that this morning. Hit the like button for us. Make sure you're subscribing. And I'm sure there are already some people triggered by the way I opened up. Of course, there is an air of sarcasm in there because I'll say it bluntly early on. This isn't cheating. It's certainly concerning for some percentages of the Chelsea fan base, but this isn't cheating. Not according to the laws of the game. When we look at the breakdown here, Chelsea declared a profit in the 23-24 season before taxation of £128 million compared to a loss of £90.1 million the previous year. This was down to increased profit on disposal of players' registrations and the repositioning of the women's football team. Chelsea add that this new approach will ensure that the Chelsea women's team has a dedicated resource management and commercial leadership. That's the only element which I'm telling you now is just absolute PR spill, but we'll come back. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. It's just a way of spinning it. Other revenues in the year fell. So the revenues actually fell in the club. So take out the sale of assets. The revenue actually fell to a very low 460 odd £million. This club was bringing in 600 to 700 million a year without selling assets a few short years ago. Matchday revenue increased to 80 million, which is very, very good for Chelsea. The growth in commercial revenue to 225 million was driven by the increase in player loan income and sales of non-matchday activities. So a huge amount of money made through loaning players out and the sale of players, which I think is really positive for Chelsea fans because that's been a big part of this business model. A massive part of spending 1.5 billion euros on players is to start generating hundreds of millions a year in income through the sales and loans of these players. That element of the plan is coming to life. It ends by saying the decreased operational expenses, profits on disposal of players and registrations of 152 million, and the profit on disposal of subsidiaries of 198 million led to the group recording an overall net profit of 129 million. So where's the fraud, as people are claiming? Well, there isn't any criminality. There isn't any cheating. There isn't any corporate fraud here going on. The only element that you could argue here is nothing to do with fraud, not even morality, but sustainability would be the only question I have around this. You can't keep selling. I mean, how many more assets are there to sell? I don't know the answer to that. Chelsea fans will know more than I do. But of course, my view on Chelsea's financial situation remains the same today as it did 18 months ago. They need to start getting back to winning. They need to get back into the Champions League because, of course, winning gives you more prize money. Champions League football increases your revenue massively. Now, they're in the World Club Cup this summer, which is going to be a massive earner, 50 million for them, bare minimum. Could go up to 100 million if they were able to win that tournament. But if they're going to spend big this summer, if they're going to invest again, you look at the current revenues that have dropped. You look at the fact they've only made a profit through the sale of assets. At some point, they've got to get back to winning and they've got to increase the revenues organically, as I say, through being in major competitions, winning major trophies, expanding the stadium, increasing ticket prices, more merchandise sales. All of that is only really plausible, only really doable if the team starts to win. But to answer the question, has there been any fraud? Has there been any criminality? Absolutely not. at this particular moment. There are a lot of tweets out there. There's a lot of people saying revenue fell by 60 million, but profits went up by 220 million. This is hilarious. It's being called out by a lot of people. And look, I think the Chelsea fans calling it out are concerned. Well, what if we don't get back to winning? What if we keep the revenue stay where they are now and we're not able to increase them organically? We can't keep stripping our assets. We can't keep selling parts of the club off. That, I think, is very fair challenge. Calling it cheating, calling it fraud, I don't think so. In fact, I was thinking about it today. I think the women's team at Chelsea brings in about 10, 11 million a year in revenue. If they can sell that for 200 million, I'm looking at my club thinking, hang on, if we want to raise some money, let's sell the women's team to a separate Ineos company, raise the money, pay some debt off. We're laughing. I'm not against it. It's very clever business. The only element I agree with are the Chelsea fans are concerned, and the Chelsea fans are worried that what if things don't improve on the pitch? What if they don't get back in the Champions League? What if they don't get back to women? In the medium to long term, there comes a point where financial ruin could happen. And that is always plausible. But with the profits they've just made, that has got to be thrown into experienced players. That has got to go this summer in buying a top-class goalie, a top-class striker, another top-class midfielder that can create, maybe more on those wings, centre-backs. If they go out and take that £120 million profit, that could probably be spent on maybe 300 to 350 million pounds worth of players if you amortize it. The sale, essentially, of the women's team enables Chelsea to invest. If they invest in the right experience and the right quality of player, Chelsea, they might make the Champions League this year. I think they've got a massive chance of doing it the following year. They start getting back into that Champions League regularly, Chelsea are going to be okay. They will be okay, especially if their buy-to-sell policy around fringe players and the loan system continues to generate income as well. But success is needed. Kieran Maguire also, go onto his Twitter account and break it down, speaks here that he says, if you strip out player sales and selling the women's team to other parts of Blueco, gives an underlying loss at Chelsea last season of 222 million. Nearly all clubs losing money and reliant on player sales, in some cases, real estate movements to dig them out of PSR issues. And look, this is the element that Chelsea fans should focus on. Ignore rivals saying you're cheating, you're corrupt, it's terrible what you're doing. That, for me, is a little bit of sour grapes. That, one, their club don't have assets to sell. Two, their club didn't think to do it. In the short term, it's a good business move to rectify a strategy that has really hurt Chelsea financially. What you should be focused on is exactly what Kieran Maguire has broken down here. That if you strip the sale of the assets, okay, which is the predominant amount of money here, of nearly 200 million you sold the women's team for, the losses would have been gargantuan. That would have seen points deductions and expulsion, most likely, from European football. That is the area that Chelsea have to focus on. Getting Champions League football this season has never been so important in the last 20 years for Chelsea. They've got the revenue from the World Club Cup. Getting that 50, 60, 70, 80 million from the Champions League is going to be important. Plus, investing these profits that you have made well. I think if that money goes into buying another 10, 11, 12 youngsters where we don't really know their trajectory, we don't know how good they're going to be, it could potentially be money wasted. So by experience, they've got to push hard and fight hard now, Chelsea, to get into a Champions League spot. And I believe in the medium to long term, the finances will recover, the revenues will grow, the profitability, or at very least, not losing too much money, will be there. And Chelsea can get back to those winning ways. So to round this up, are they cheating? No. Is it concerning in the medium to long term for their finances? Yes, if they don't get back to winning ways. But as ever, I want your views. I want your opinions on this in the comment section below. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Peace.